Statistics South Africa has announced that the country's GDP contracted by 1.3% in the last quarter of 2022. According to the statistician-general, the economy has fallen below pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels. Market analysts had expected a 0.4% contraction, considering the higher stages of load shedding during that quarter. For more on this, let's speak to George Sebulela, president of the South African United Business Confederation. George, a very good evening to you. Grateful for your time and patience tonight. So, what does this data mean practically for people such as yourself who are in business?
Look, thank you so much for inviting me. I think it is quite clear that the expectations has not been met as per the many analysts of 0.4%. What is very quite amazing is that 7 out of the main activities of the economy declined, and they declined not by 1 digit, but by 2 digits. Looking at agriculture, which is really the biggest job employer, it declined by minus 3.3%. You look at the trade and catering, which is really more accommodation, to a certain extent mixed with tourism, minus 2.1%. Then you look at the manufacturing, which is very key, at minus 0.9%. All these industry sectors are very key in creating jobs. And that clearly tells you not only the impact of the energy, but you can start to see how much of industries are highly affected. And that is a very sad moment.
Do you expect that this will then begin to show itself in upcoming unemployment data? I know we recently got a set recently, but do you expect in the next period that will be reviewed, we're going to see the impact of this, the shrinkage in the number of people who may perhaps have lost work or were unable to find work because, as you were saying, 7 out of 10 economic sectors were battling?
We definitely going to see even much more impact. I just hope, as Dr. Ramokgopa, who I believe is a very capable and a technical expert in that particular area of energy, electricity, municipal experience, and highly qualified individual, will make an urgent intervention. So yes, we are very concerned that this state is very worrying. And we hope that it should not give us so much of an impact. Let's take a practical example of what you see in the black families, for example. If you are a breadwinner, you look after, more than 7 or 8 family members, and that looks after, grandchildren. And that's the impact that we need to begin to see. And the majority of the SMMEs, unfortunately, are unable to survive with these numbers and this impact that we see today.
Just on the issue of the blackouts, government has said in both President Ramaphosa's address last night and in the conversation that we've just been listening to between the Electricity Minister, Dr. Ramokgopa, and our Ating Tongana, that the goal primarily is to reduce the intensity, the severity of load shedding rather than eliminate it altogether, because they're not able to give a firm timeline on that. But I wonder, when you look at the expenses incurred by businesses as a result of the blackouts at stages 4, 5 and 6 in recent months, if you can afford any longer to deal with any level of power cuts.
What I think is very appropriate and I think for the community of and the society at large, it's very, very important that those who lead must be honest and must communicate the right message. I do not see that in a period of 1.5 years to 2 years you'll be able to deal with the situations. Currently, as you know, over 20 billion interest is paid by Eskom in this particular instances. The municipalities are currently sitting over 50 billion that is owed to Eskom. If you look at the current debt, even though the government is going to come in, there's a lot of restructuring that is required to be made. The practicalities, in order to deal with the base load of Eskom, there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. And that is what COS is saying, is to come and see how much they can reduce from stage 6, at least to the levels of stage 2, stage 3, but not to eradicate at all. And we must be prepared as business to really succumb to that situation, other than to watch and wait and look at this leadership that is currently trying to resuscitate ESCOM.
What about, Mr. Sebulela, some of the analysts warning today that South Africa is at more risk now of slipping into a technical recession? Is business prepared for that?
Look, the current blacklisting of FATF in terms of the South African as a risk country has even much serious impact. And therefore, we must be ready that the nature of these rating agencies, there's no doubt that where they are sitting, they're going to follow through. And that is really the situation. And remember, they look at a number of few issues. They look at security, they look at the justice system, they look at the constant supply of energy, they look at the possible, the possible structure of government in terms of making sure that it can really capable to increase its GDP percentages to a higher level. And all those issues, as you look at them today, I think we rather, little bit limping. And I do believe that when that situation comes, or when that time comes for the rating agencies to review South Africa, I just hope that it doesn't create much worse than what it did, because the borrowings for multiple of industries, including ESCOM itself, is going to cost more and more and more. The interest is going to be much higher than what we think it is now.
Mr. George Sebulela, President of the South African United Business Confederation, good to speak to you. Thank you.